What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to Aaron for his contribution to the channel. Aaron, to answer your note, the Patreon, I do talk about sports on there. I do talk about basketball, but the Patreon is not for everybody. On the Patreon, I talk about some controversial stuff that I can on YouTube. I do talk about race. I do talk about politics. I talk about social issues. I'm not a religious person, so I don't really talk about religion. But I do talk about, and I say certain things that some people might find offensive. That's why I created the Patreon as more of an alternative for me to talk about those types of things rather than on YouTube. Because what happens on YouTube is this. It's just been my experience. You can get away with talking about certain things on YouTube for a while. But when you become a larger channel, it happens to different channels at different stages. But to me, once you get close to that 30,000 sub mark, maybe 40,000, maybe some people are more fortunate to get that 50,000 mark, then you start having issues. You know what I'm saying? You'll start having issues with YouTube, burying your channel, shadow banning, suppressing your videos, not sending out notifications. You're getting like a lot of BS, third-party content violations, copyright strikes. Just because, these are human beings who are moderating your videos. And, people, in a perfect world, these moderators would keep their personal biases out of it. But when you look at the people who are flourishing on YouTube, and you look at the people who are struggling on YouTube, people who look like me, meanwhile other people who are on the other spectrum of politically, they get to say whatever they want to say. All the notifications get sent out. They use a whole bunch of coded, red meat racist language to their supporters, and they get to operate freely. Yes, every now and then they will, just to quote unquote prove they're not racist. Yeah, they will take down a right wing or supposed right wing channel, like they did with I forget his name, but the guy that always believed in a lot of left wing conspiracies. I forget his name, man. But they'll do that every now and then. They'll take down one of those guys, but for the most part, they focus on people that look like me. So that's why I'm over there. And if that doesn't offend you, then yeah, come over to the Patreon, man. It's only $2 a month, man. Only charge $2 a month, and there's already like 200 and maybe 20 videos, I think now. And I will be uploading again today. So now, having said all of that, I want to give a shout out to Doc Rivers. All right, before I talk about basketball on this channel, before I talk about anything else, I want to give a shout out to Doc Rivers for keeping it real in that post-game speech he made yesterday. And he talked about the realities of the situations going on right now in this country. He talked about, the shooting that happened in Wisconsin, where look, I get so irritated when people say, well, we need to see what happened before that. Look, there's no legitimate reason or rationale to shoot a man 7 times in the back in front of his children. I don't care what he said verbally, okay? Because at the same time, you monsters have no problems when a white suspect will come guns blazing, like in some mob movie, like he's goddamn, Pretty Boy Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Or like he's Al Capone or something. You guys have no problems with a guy doing that. And, it's just some some random shootout. A guy that poses a complete and total danger. That's the guy that should be shot 7, 8 times, center mass. Not some dude who you just in fear because, or just some dude who, if you're a dirty cop, you just itching to find some excuse to shoot. And, Doc Rivers kept it real about how in this country, man, like you literally live in some quasi state of fear, and it's very stressful to be black, a young black man, or a black man, period, in this country. Doc is not that young, he's in his 50s, I think. But, Doc, you could see the pain in this guy, man. When he talk, every black man, if you talk to him deeply enough about race, if he's keeping it real, okay, that pain is there with every black male in this country. And Doc Rivers, his father was a cop. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, I gotta give him his props. Now, I know some people might get on him because he married a white woman, whatever. Look, man, at the end of the day, I don't really give a shit about most of that stuff because I'm like this. You don't really. I know some people have their stances on that, but I'm like this. As long as your motivation wasn't racially motivated and you just happen to fall in love with that person, then I don't really have no qualms. When I was younger, I'm not gonna lie, I did have some issues with that. As I've gotten older, I've realized that sometimes you do, happen to develop feelings for a person of another race. I've had that happen before. I've started developing feelings for a woman that was not African American. I didn't go through the relationship, but at the same time, I understand that situation. So that's why I no longer do that. You know what I'm saying? But Doc Rivers referenced the Republican National Convention, or whatever you want to call that, and they're using so much coded racist language, talking about, the fear that people have out there, and they're basically trying to play upon a lot of Americans' fears, and trying to basically make it seem like that there's this great black menace that needs to be controlled and all that crap. That's why at the end of the day, man, up until recently, in the back of my mind, I've always felt like Trump could still win, but I'm convinced now that he's going to lose. And I know there's a lot of brothers out there that think he's going to win. I get it. I understand why you have that mentality, but at the end of the day, I think that a lot of people are now tired of him. I think that, think about this for a second. Trump has only been president 3.5 years, right? But have you ever had a situation in your adult life, those who are older, my age and older, have you ever been in a situation where you already have grown fatigued of the president in only a couple of years? Like, I get, after 2 terms, you might start, kind of starting to get on my damn nerves a little bit. But at this point, I think a lot of Americans are tired of Trump's shtick. They've gotten tired of him. I honestly, truly believe that a lot of people who voted for him 4 years ago, some of them couldn't stomach having Hillary as president. Some of them were suckered in by some of his talk. If you listen to Trump 4 years ago, he basically talked about how he was going to clean up Washington and how he was going to expose this and expose that. And when you look at what's happened in the last 4 years, what has he really accomplished? Other than trying to systematically dismantle everything that Barack Obama accomplished. And basically, whenever something goes wrong, he likes to point the finger at other people. And when has he really shown any effective leadership? He's not a leader. He's a con artist. He's a scoundrel. He's a liar. And he's a cheater. And if you really listen to what some of his own family members say about him right now, even his own family have castigated him and called him a liar and a cheat and a fraud. And I think at the end of the day, I think most Americans, or at least the majority of Americans, have or will figure that out. But we'll see, you know what I'm saying? But back to Doc Rivers, though, man, you know what I'm saying? He talked a lot about how we've done so much for this country, but yet at the end of the day, we're the ones who always get the short end of the stick. And, he was talking about how it's just frustrating being black. It's frustrating in this country, like he talked about how he's always referred to as the first black this and one of the few black that, and that, and I'll say this too, it is hypocritical how a lot of people complain about our focusing on race so much, but yet at the same time, they focus on race when they reference us all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, Doc Rivers is a very good coach. It's not that he's a great black coach. He's a good coach. John Thompson was a great coach. Great coach. And at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, I do think while the marches and the protesting have all been, that's good and all, but it doesn't really accomplish anything. As we can see, even though we've had all of these marches and all these protests, we still have police officers doing the same thing. What needs to be done is you have to have some type of penalties. That's the only thing that gets shit done. Sorry, YouTube, I curse. That's the only thing that can get stuff done, is you have to penalize these people who constantly weaponize their white supremacy. You have to put penalties in place. That's the only thing that has ever worked. And once that happens, now look, I don't normally agree with Charles Barkley, but I do agree with one thing. You have to start penalizing the good cops with the bad cops. Make it a penalty for them. Then that's the only way that you're going to clean up, or at least to a degree, clean up the corruption. I mean, because when you look at the police department, man, not only is it just an issue with racism, but corruption is unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? Like, the corruption with some police departments make the mafia look like kindergarten. So, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, shout out to Doc Rivers, you know what I'm saying, and also I want to shout out Bill Russell, man. Look, at the end of the day, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Bill Russell. Bill Russell, put out a tweet giving praise to Doc Rivers and many in the bubble right now who have voiced their concerns about what's going on in this country. And I want to say this because, yeah, I even though sometimes when I'm having a basketball talk, I might say that I don't think Bill Russell's a top 10 all-time player, but that has nothing to do with the way I feel about the guy. And I try to tell people that I have nothing but the utmost respect for Bill Russell. Okay, and as a representative of the black community, he is like on my Mount Rushmore when it comes to sports heroes. I'm just saying that as a all-time player, I don't know if he's top 10. Now, this is the thing that the point I want to make to the end. Sometimes just based on his humanitarianism, and what he's done for the community, sometimes I want to put him in a top 10 place in basketball hierarchy, maybe even top 5 at times. But you know, the problem I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm making an emotional pick when I'm doing that. I'm picking him not based upon what he's done as a basketball player, but also what he's done off the court. Excuse me. Now, with Ali, it's what he's done, what he did in the ring alone makes him top 2 or 3 all time. When you add what he did outside the ring, that's why he's the greatest. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I got to say, man. Tell me what you guys think.